Michael Griffin is a nomad and has traveled America for the last 25 years, living off the land and learning the ancient ways of survival from Indian tribes from all over the country. The information in this video is gained from real-world experience and not from theory. He truly lives this life full-time and has an immense amount of plant knowledge I wanted to share with my YouTube friends. The video is given in a mundane setting, but I assure you that it is golden information that every survivalist needs to know. Please finish the entire series, as there are 4 parts, and pay attention to the wisdom he is passing on to us for free. Thank you, Michael. Much respect. Robert, Sigma 3 Survival.
Hello, this is Michael Griffin. This is part 2 of medicinal plants and useful plants. So if you haven't watched part 1, go back to the first part so you can understand what I'm doing here. But I was sitting here talking about the tasting of a plant to find out what kind of medicinal uses it can be used for. And I'm going to go back to alkaloids, because alkaloids, it has that hot biting taste, like you would think in a piece of garlic or hot pepper or horseradish. And I was talking about how it's good for getting up phlegm and colds and stuff like that. But also, if you use it externally on a paste, now it can burn your skin. When you think of hot pepper on your skin, it will literally start to burn your skin, or mustard seeds or something like that. But when you place that on like a tumor or a cancerous growth or something, it will literally burn out the bacteria for the tumor growth. And a lot of people use that in the old days to stop cancers and tumors. It does work. It just literally burns it out, but it's very painful. I was talking about oxalate acids, and another use for that would be, well, not just a use, but I said it was poisonous in high doses. But the thing about that, if you cook it with a long change of heat, it actually breaks it down. It turns it into an edible source, so you can actually eat it. Think of a lot of our foods has it. Rhubarb is a great thing. Spinach, parsley, a lot of it foods have it. But when you taste that lemon sour taste in your mouth, you know it has that chemical in it. And I was talking about alkaloids. How alkaloids, first major sign of alkaloids, not all plants, but generally, if you see a latex type of plant, it's going to have some type of alkaloid in it generally, especially if it's a hot biting latex. And you have to be very careful with alkaloids. Alkaloids, we think of all our hard drugs, recreational drugs, all our pharmaceutical drugs, normally come from alkaloids. And what I mean by that, you think of opium, which you get heroin, you get codeine, you get morphine from, and then that would be a narcotic depressant. So when you take it and it's bitter, but it depresses your central nervous system, then you know there's an alkaloid in there, and that can be used to kill pain, stop pain, like you think in morphine, codeine, heroin. But it also could be a stimulant. We think of cocaine, we think of speed, pseudoephedrine like Benadryl and stuff like that. Diet pills like ephedrine and caffeine. And so when you take a plant and it's making you get high, well, you know it's a stimulant, alkaloid. But you have to be very careful when you're testing plants that may have alkaloids in it. So be very careful. Some of them can cause hallucinations, and you think of that when you think of LSD, which comes from arrogant fungus, and then you think of morning glory. Lots of different hallucinogenic plants out there, peyote, and those are alkaloids. And in high doses, they can really hurt you. And it's best to stay away until you learn. When you find a plant that is an alkaloid, you need to start doing your research. Don't just start playing around with a plant without knowing for a fact what it can do to your body. Some plants are so strong in poisons. If you take poison hemlock and you just barely taste it, it'll start numbing your feet instantly. And then all of a sudden, you'll just start feeling cold. And if you're not strong enough to get through that poison, it'll really shut your muscles down, and you'll suffocate to death, and your heart will stop beating, and you will die. So when you're thinking of alkaloids, You need to seriously know what you're doing. Don't play around. And so you're going to go to hearing plants. And what I mean by hearing plants is kind of what I was talking about with the alkaloid. When you taste a plant and it goes inside of you, listen to what it does to your body. And first thing, well, alkaloids, you're going to have a stim. Are you jittering and going crazy? Or are you just, you don't feel any pain? That would be a central nervous system type of alkaloid that would cause that problem. So you're listening to what the plant does. There's cardio plants. We think of garlic as a cardio because it can lower your blood pressure. So if you feel your blood pressure dropping, or it could be raising your blood pressure when your heart's beating 100 miles an hour. It feels like, and there's a lot of different types. There's Indians call little medicine, big medicine, and what they mean by that, say garlic is little medicine. It's a little medicine that takes you a long distance. It actually heals you better most of the time than big medicine. But in long terms, um, you can think of hawthorn berries. It's a good heart stimulant stuff. They actually help your heart. And you think of barberries. Those are little medicines. But when you start talking about big medicines, you're thinking of plants like foxglove, which gives you digitalis, and RU plants, which gives you taxus, which are extremely strong cardio medicines that they use in pharmaceutical drugs today. And if you're not knowing what you're doing, you literally kill yourself. I mean, you will have an instant blowout of the heart. And you die instantly. So when you're thinking of big medicine, you got to start thinking smaller doses. But when you're thinking of little medicine, you can go a little bit bigger doses. So once you understand those things, it's not that hard. Um, there's another one called anthraquinones. Anthraquinones we think of a lot of times as laxatives. You think of buy on the shelves, you can buy Senna, named Sennacote. You can get all different types of laxatives out there. There's buckthorns out there that they dry the bark. They dry it because it reduces the anthraquinones, and so it's not as harsh. A lot of times they'll mix like cinnamon and stuff like that to reduce the harshness of it. But anytime you eat a plant and your stomach just all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I just serious pain, and then all of a sudden you got to go to the bathroom. That's what it turns out to be, a laxative. So you can do that, and certain plants are going to be smaller laxatives than other plants that you like buckthorn. Buckthorn will instantly give you pain overnight. Beans, dry beans, the sapiens inside you also are like anthraquinones, and it would make you very sick in the stomach, and all of a sudden, boom, that's big medicine. You don't want that kind of medicine inside of you when you're trying to do a laxative. That's a painful way to go. Besides that, when you're talking about medicinal plants and you're playing around with latex plants, you need to be very careful here. Like I said, um, euphorbia species plants out there. We think of poinsettia. There's a lot of cactus-looking plants that euphorbias. Those are extremely caustic, extremely toxic plants. I mean, there's some cactus-looking euphorbias that it drips on you. It instantly eats right through the skin. So just be careful with latex plants and get to know your poisonous plants in your area. Best thing I like to do is when you get into an area, or before you get into an area, you can buy guides like this. This is trees of Arizona. You got cactuses of Arizona. And they break the families down, and you can they pretty much tell you if it's a poisonous plant or not. There's one on the coast of Pacific coast in the Northwest, and it pretty much gives you an edible guide to basic plants. It doesn't list all the edibles that's in this book, but you can actually go in there and write beside the plant if you actually know if it's edible or not. And it helps you decide, if a plant is poisonous in that area. Generally, those books will tell you if it's poisonous. This saves you a lot of time and energy. But we can go into the usefulness of plants. We think of fiber and flexibility in a plant. When I go out there, Now, I'm always grabbing plants that I know that's not poisonous. And what I mean by that, I'll tug up on a plant and see if it breaks. If it doesn't break, I'll try to bend it into a little wreath, kind of like a Christmas wreath, and see if it actually can hold. And plants like that can be used with baskets. It can be used for fishing poles. It can be used for making bow and arrows. Uh, very all different types of uses that you need to flex something, make hoops or tools or whatever. You think of hickory being very flexible is used for axe handles. So when it hits on the pressure, it can bend with the pressure. It doesn't crack it. So I'm always tugging and pulling and playing with the twigs, playing with the roots, playing with the. I'll take strips of bark, I'll pull on the inner bark and see if I can weave it into rope. And that's a good thing to do. Always playing with the plant, trying to find out if you can get fiber out of it, see if it'll flex, see if it'll bend, and keep those mental things in your head. And at the same time, I'm always thinking of fire. Plants can be used for starting fires or having fires. When you think of firebow drills, you usually find wood that is very airy. The cell growths in the plant are very even spaced, and we think of water plants, like sycamore trees, willows, and stuff like that, which can be used for firebow drills because they burn at an even rate when you're twisting wood. You can think of mullein stalks or yucca stalks. That the same way it actually helps you out. And so when you can play with those, you can start fixing fire. But I want to look at and see if there's tinder. I'll grab the leaves, buff them up, see if I can make tinder out of it, see if it actually burns quite easily. You can take the bark, outer bark, like you see on cedar trees, and or take plants and pull them up and see if the little fibrous roots, see and dry them in the sun, see if those could be used for tinder. The little catkin flowers that you see on like a willow tree, the very airy cattail. When you take the cattail and you pull it up, the little hot dog things, you get all this flammable material. You can think of sycamore balls. You can squeeze those and they have flammable material. So you can always keep those things in mind. And when you're looking at plants, you can see if they're resin plants, they're going to burn very hot. They're going to burn a lot of light, and they're going to get a fire going. And even cell plant growths, like we talk about firebow drills, those normally are going to burn at an even rate. As long as you get the heat rate to the fuel rate right, you're going to end up in the oxygen rate, which those cells, even cells, allow those three things to come together, and it creates a smokeless fire. So you can use those woods for cooking and stuff like that. And then you get in more denser wood like hard oaks and any hardwood that's non-resinous. It's going to burn for a long time at even flow. So, when you experiment with plants like that, you can kind of tell fire-wise what it can be used for. Um, that's a good thing to do. Always experiment with the plants. Think about what you can do with it. You don't have to know the name of a plant. You don't have to know what to do with it. Like resin wood, it's not going to make a good firebow drill. It's going to stick every time you're trying to get a fire. But once you get the fire going, it can make the fire go for a long time, real quick and real hot. And so once you learn things like that, it's not very difficult. You don't have to know the names of plants. Just play with the plants. Let it tell you what it needs to do. If you're trying to make a firebow drill out of hardwood, you're going to spend a lot of time and energy trying to get that to work. Now, you could do it if you had a machine that would spin that wood real quick, but otherwise, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your energy. That wouldn't be good for friction bow drills. Baskets, on the other hand, you want to play with the plants and see if they bend, like I said, with finding the flexibility of the plant. Split the wood down and see if you can make bark baskets like you see in or the wood baskets like you see in oak baskets in stores. See if the vines bend, if they can make baskets, twine baskets. You can take pine needles, they bend, so you can wrap coral baskets. And like you see the Africans do here in America, especially in the southeast around the Charleston area, they're wrapping grass and stuff like that. They actually make grasses down in Peru and Chile, bridges. so strong that they can carry a mule train across. So even grasses can be used for something very strong like that. But always play with plants like that and find out. You can burn the plants to see if they burn pretty easily. But like I said, you need to learn your poisonous plants because poisonous plants, you don't want to be burning Orlander, which can actually kill you. Poison ivy, which you can breathe in that smoke and get the oils down in your lungs, and now it's shutting your throat. So you need to know the basic poisonous plants before you start playing around. You don't want to be playing with fibrous plants like dogban or gym